Anyone can train intensely for one day. Crawling under something that I'm scared of. Been through a lot of trauma. Like, I don't know if I can do this. Financially unstable, even when you don't want to. That's the hard work. My favorite thing in training is this can hurt me. There's not a cooler feeling in the world. Yeah, so I grew up in a tiny town in Wyoming, and the crazy thing about where I grew up is like the culture of training, working hard is it's a huge like farm and ranch community. That's somebody that gets up at 5 in the morning, they work all day long till the sun goes down. That culture was already there, and like all of us kids came from some sort of background similar to that. I don't really know much difference. I remember going out with my dad in the morning and feeding cattle and stuff like that. And as I got older, it's just like I took on more responsibilities. It was like, all right, now like, well, you know, you're 10, you can go feed the cows on your own. Those were the responsibilities we all had. And no matter what, like, you figure out a way to get it done. You're on your own on this one, bud. Like, there's never a problem too big. You just have to figure out the solution, you know? There was a huge sports culture where I grew up. And the main thing was like, if you wanted to be a good athlete, if you wanted to get out of our small town, you had to be good at sports. The sports that I really gravitated towards were the ones that, like, no matter what, if you're a hard worker, you'll be successful. Started working with like the 8th graders and stuff when I was in elementary school, and I started seeing that all these guys were lifting weights if they were gonna end up going to college sports. So I started lifting weights around 10. My dad was really hesitant to let me lift weights, but so I kept pestering him. He bought me the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, and he said, if you read this, then you can lift weights. From that moment, I was like, okay. So I started doing push-ups, sit-ups, pull-up until I read the book. It took me about like a year and a half, and I came back to my dad with everything highlighted, and I was like, look, I know how to lift weights now. And it was kind of like, oh shit, well, I guess you do, you put in the work, so I guess you can go to the weight room finally. I'm 13, 14, start eating 6 meals a day, get into that culture really early of like, you put in the work and it will pay off eventually. So for me, it was, my parents didn't have a lot of money. We lived on a ranch. We raised cattle, and for me to like get out of that lifestyle and not be working on the ranch and stuff like that was, I had to pay for my own college. I had to figure out my way of paying for college, whether it was academics, whether it was sports. So I kind of put all my eggs in the basket of like, let's make sure I get a sports scholarship so everything's paid for. So I put in as much time and effort as I could. I went into college sports, and that just didn't really work out for me. It was like, it was fun. I was successful in it, but there wasn't a whole lot of passion there. If the passion's not there, then like you're not gonna be your best. And I'm too competitive to not be my best. So I knew that bodybuilding was kind of the next step for me. And in doing so, I just kind of was like, I'm gonna put all my eggs in this basket. So I went into work with my dad in the oil field. I worked 7/12s. I did my first bodybuilding prep. It was like the most grueling and hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I did not know what I was signing up for. My dad's probably the hardest worker on the planet. 12-hour work days, 7 days a week is like something that's next level, and I don't think most people can do just that. So I was trying to balance that, do an hour of cardio every day, train every day, still get my meals in and stuff, and it really tested my will. But it was really cool because I was doing it alongside my dad, and my dad was like giving me so much props about like how hard of a worker I was, how proud of me he was, because he could see I'm kicking ass and working these 7/12s, and I'm still dragging my ass to the gym. I'm still staying up till midnight cooking my meals and stuff like that. And then I did my first show, and the second I got on stage, I fell in love with it. It's a competitive nature in me. And that's why training with Brett is something that has made me more successful, is because like we're two dogs going at it, and we both have that competitive mentality. Also internally, I'm somebody that's been through a lot of trauma. I did have a rough childhood and stuff like that, and I like to use this as like my therapy as well. Some of those big sets and those crazy sets where I'm moving crazy weight is like, I might be thinking about some of the stuff that like might be a little bit of a dark place, honestly, but like my favorite thing in training is crawling under something that I'm scared of. Like, I don't know if I can do this. This can hurt me, and then just smash it. There's not a cooler feeling in the world. It's like hitting a home run. It's like scoring a touchdown. Like, it's that same feeling of like when you crawl under a weight that like, you know, crushes people, it tears people's quads or something, and you smash a set. It's a cool feeling, man. It's adrenaline dump like nobody's business. Anyone can train intensely for one day, right? But what makes a A bodybuilder and a champion bodybuilder is somebody that can come in, punish themselves day after day after day, and they still keep coming back for more. That resiliency, willingness, push through even when you don't want to, that's the hard work. It comes in all aspects in this sport. For me, the hard work is in the gym is the funnest part, so it doesn't really feel like work to me, whereas like eating 7 meals a day feels like more work to me because it's something that I don't enjoy as much. Even the fun stuff has to be work sometimes, you know, so being in the gym and those hard sets and being intense, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter how much weight you're lifting, but it's about taking things to the absolute limit of what you can handle. So what makes the man is being able to do it day after day and being able to handle more next week than you did this week. What keeps somebody in it and keeps that resiliency is falling in love with the process. Like I said, taking those little wins, crawling under a weight that scares you and smashing it like a home run. Like, you have to take that as a win, just as you would take a bodybuilding show as a win. And this sport is such a marathon. Being resilient is the key. Most people can diet for a week. Most people can diet for 2 weeks, but dieting for 3 or 4 months or an entire year, you know, it gets easier with time, but that's what builds a bodybuilder, is being resilient, fighting those things. I do think that there's a component that you just got to have it a little bit. You got to be able to put your mind to something and do it. And there's people out there that like, they just, no matter what, they can't set their mind on a singular task and just nail it out. And the other thing is it's boring. Being resilient in this can be very monotonous. It can be very tedious. It can be very boring. And with that comes a sense of loss of passion. Not as fun as it was the first day when you saw gains right away, or you don't get to eat as much now as you got to eat then, or you have to starve more than you had to starve before. So I think the resiliency comes in knowing that like there will always be ups and downs, but falling in love with the process and knowing that there is no end goal. You're chasing a limitless, endless goal. So the taking little wins and staying on top of that is what's going to keep you resilient and keep you in love with the process. I've fallen in love with this sport and fallen out of love with this sport a few times, but I'm probably more passionate about it now than I've ever been, or back to the same passion I was when I was a kid and I just fell in love with something and couldn't stay away from it. What I would say to you is that generally the reason that your passion is gone or that you're not in love with the process is who you're surrounded by, what goals you've set for yourself, and then also like put things into perspective. Nothing happens quickly in this sport. Don't try to rush it. Live in the moment in bodybuilding. I know that's so easy to say versus do, because I've been there. I started out in this in 20, and when I was 20 I was going to be Mr. Olympia tomorrow, and I still want to be Mr. Olympia tomorrow, but I'm 27 and I'm still a ways away. Fall in love with bodybuilding. Fall in love with those small wins in this sport. Fall in love with it because you love to be on stage, because you love to train and to do it with your friends. As you do that, your body will also show that. The love and the passion shines through on just what you're doing, you know? Nobody looks good when they're doing something that they're miserable doing. Truly something I love more than anything, and it's taken me from being a little boy to turning into a man. It's taken me from being financially unstable to being able to afford everything that I have now, and I love this sport because it's given me everything I have. Truly, if the passion's gone, it's probably because of the people around you. Surround yourself with people that believe in you, love you, support you, and you'll be very successful in this. Yeah, man, chasing your dreams is a big one. And this is something that I've kind of always lived by, but whatever you say you can do, and as long as you work hard enough, you can do it. If you're feeling that bit of disbelief and that like willingness to take the jump, you need to know two things. One, you truly need to be in love with it. It needs to be your passion, no matter what it is, whether it's this, you want to start a business with your buddies and invest all your money, all those things. Like, if you don't love it with all that you are, don't take the jump. But if you got all your ducks in a row, you love it, and you know that you can do it, people in the back saying that you can't or that it's crazy. Look, I quit pharmacy school. That's a guaranteed $250,000 a year job. It's everything that a parent would want for their kid, right? And I went to my parents and I said, I don't want to do that, because I'm not going to be happy. And if they really love you, they're going to say, well, I want you to be happy, so what's going to make you happy? And that was chasing my dreams, and I knew that I could be successful at this. You can probably go back to college, or you can probably go back to the job that you had that you didn't love, but at least then you'll know that you chased everything that you ever wanted, and it just didn't turn out, because chasing it and catching it is a pretty fucking sick feeling. I'll give you guys that. I couldn't be more thankful for the position I'm in. I'm 27 years old. I'm literally living an absolute dream, and I get to do it for the next 20 years with my best friends. So like, take the leap, because it's worth it. And if you fail, you fail. That's life.